I'm excited because, well, I'm usually excited, but I'm particularly excited this morning because this is an opportunity for us to orient ourselves to what really generates economic or unleashes on economic potential. And though we're here talking about capital markets, I want to actually talk a little bit about why capital markets, and that's to fuel the dreams of people. So if you bear with me, because what I want to do is, in February 2023, the Massy Group of companies will be 100 years old. Older than all of our countries from independence. And over the course of those 100 years, we've actually learned a few things. And why I want to talk about this is because I want, when I start to talk about what we need to do to unleash the potential in people, I want that to ring through as true to you. The Massy Group was founded by, well, it was used to be Neil and Massy, you all know that. Changed the name in 2014. Harry, Neil, and Charles Massy. And the reason I wanted to start this off with them, because at the very beginning, this group of companies was created by two people who had deep values associated with contribution to society, how people should be treated, customer service, and that has remained in our group through the years that we've traveled. However, we've done a lot over that century to kind of build on that. We've had some ups and downs. We've had various people lead our group. And most recently, we started a form of transformation that I want to share, because it is this transformation that we are finding is unlocking the potential of people. And unlocking the potential of people is what we have found is the absolute secret to unlocking growth and development. So back in, I think it was 2013 or something, we began a journey to be a conscious company. We took on this principle called conscious capitalism. I don't mind talking about it today because 10 or so years on, I find it works. But back then, we were a little uncertain about it. So the idea and principle behind conscious capitalism is to take, and we're here talking about capital markets, but to put some conscience on capital. To run enterprise consciously. And by that I mean to do good. So that you're not just a mercenistic business trying to make money. You know, there was one point in time the purpose of business was to generate maximum return to shareholders. Well, that has been debunked. And of course, it just makes sense because that's going to top out somewhere that's just going to be unsustainable, right? And so in this journey for us to become a more conscious company, and by that I mean for us to, you know, be a responsible contributor to our society, for our employees to enjoy an opportunity to pursue a purposeful existence, for our customers to continue to experience the love and trust that they have for what we do and what we provide for them, and for us to do this in a way that it sets off a virtuous cycle of, you know, employees who are engaged, delighting customers who are willing to give you their loyalty. We actually had to start with ourselves. And so this is why I think it's really important to talk about this part of the journey, because oftentimes we just say, yeah, well, people are important, it's a nice thing, but we don't recognize the extent to which we, ourselves, are constrained to actually having people unlock their value. And so I won't go into this too much in detail for time, but it was important for me to start with myself to begin to understand how was I, as a leader in this organization, kind of constraining people in my own behaviors. And so we set a set of expectations that anybody leading anyone, a matter of a team of one or two, you should have in terms of an awareness of who you are, the experience you have with building relationships, how you pursue growth, the responsibility you have for society, and the responsibility you have for co-creating the future of the enterprise ourselves. And that's a kind of a weird thing because, inviting people to be part of creating the future is like, yeah, but that's your job. But when you really atomize it and say on a daily basis, you invite your employees to be part of creating the environment that they're in, and you actually do it, because you could say that, but then not really do it, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, we have it up on the wall, and we have a suggestion box and everything like that, but no one really checks the suggestion box. No, not like that. Like people could come to you in your office and say, this is really not working, we have a long line of people at a cashier station, could we do something about this? And you say, well, thanks, I didn't know. You get somebody here to go and help debottleneck. When people actually see that and experience that they could have, that's almost like the boss work, then I could come up with a little suggestion like that. Boy, I mean, it's marvelous. You begin to really unlock the potential of people. And so I just want to make sure you appreciate that it doesn't come automatically. It comes through work on oneself and ourselves. And that's absolutely essential to unlock this kind of value. And then, well, you guys know the story, right? You know the story. We used to be Neil and Massy. We used to look like all these things here on the left-hand side. And in 2014, we became Massy. And many people didn't know that we actually were all those things on the side. What's the lesson here for this conversation? I have to tell you that, we weren't too sure. People ask, why are you doing this? When you can get a group of people centered around an identity and a common purpose, you get a completely different way of bringing the mass of people together to achieve something. And so, okay, you can understand at a corporate level. Think of it as at a country level, right? If you could bring a country to, and yeah, I mean, there would be more icons in a country, right? Together around a common identity and purpose, the power of what can be achieved is tremendous. And that, quite frankly, was our experience. We didn't just do that. We also kind of changed the way we organized ourselves. And this part is really important. We see, what we're going to do is we're going to take the parts of our business that we have the most competence in, that we are most competitively advantaged in. And we're going to look at the potential for that to generate growth. And we are going to focus ourselves in those areas. Okay, that makes sense. Why I didn't do that all along? Well, I don't know. But we did then, all right? But we didn't just do that, and this is the really, really important part. What we did is we gave those businesses much greater autonomy. We gave them decision-making rights that they had never enjoyed. Delegations of authority that were really significant. And we said, okay, you're going to run this business like it's your own business, and you're going to have minimum interference from me and the center. Well, this is, of course, a little, I guess you could compare it to like, sending a 13-year-old off to college or something. There's this like, are they really ready? You're not too really sure, and will something break? And for me personally, I'll speak honestly, it was a little kind of frightening, and because you do that and you say, well, okay, well, Mr. Warner, where's your job? Right? These businesses running autonomously. But I got over that with some help. But what's important is that we began this journey of pushing autonomy into the business. This is really important, really important. Because as you push autonomy into the business, people act responsibly. Now we set up some, guard posts and stuff. With this autonomy came greater responsibility. So each of these big units now had a board that kind of looked like the Massy Holdings board. They had independent directors, they had an audit committee, a people and culture committee, they had members who were not part of their business, and now they had to answer the kind of questions I used to have to answer in the Massy Holdings boardroom. They now had to answer. It's kind of like, okay, now it's like your turn to grow up. But what this has done is it has led to a level of ownership for what the experience is that is being pushed further and further and further into the organization. And, it is unleashed for us what we call Massy energy. It's unleashed an energy where people feel confident. They're no longer waiting for to be told what to do. It's released an energy of possibility, like you don't think of why things can't happen, but you think that this is possible. It's changed the way that we actually think about forecasting and budgeting. We dream. We set outlandish targets as opposed to a specific number that if you don't hit, you're going to get whipped. It's really funny because we also have this responsibility that you now have, and you really feel it. Like somebody else isn't responsible, you are truly responsible. And then there's this part of the energy called abundance. And actually really believing in abundance. And this is a very important part, don't miss this part. You gotta find ways for when everybody's working hard and you have success, that everybody feels like they got paid, that they experienced some financial participation in this great performance. And when that starts to happen, it's like, wow, I love to work harder. I love to look for problems to resolve. Because when I do, not only will we kind of be a better place, but I could, buy some more gifts at Christmas. I could afford a better car. And this is really important when you translate it into results. Our results have been quite satisfactory over the last 3-4 years. And I think that there's a direct correlation to this in unlocking and unleashing the potential in the Caribbean, and how our capital markets have some bearing to do that. So the first thing I wanted to use that introduction is to say, even though we're here talking about finance and capital markets, really orienting ourselves to a vision around people, I think is essential. If you start thinking about how you direct capital from the perspective of the potential this could have to impact the lives of people, you're starting to think in the right place. If you have a vision that says, we want to instill a particular mindset in the people in our countries, a mindset of, I could take this on. It's my responsibility too. Not that I am going to look for somebody else, like the Minister of Finance, to take care of me. I am going to pick up my bootstraps and find opportunities for me to be successful in this world. But to do that successfully, I have capabilities. We have a responsibility, all of us in this room, for doing what we can to make sure that young people are growing up with the capabilities that will equip them for the future. And then have real opportunities for them to succeed. Our crime problem in Trinidad is an opportunity problem. When people don't see opportunities, but they see other people doing well, it's an incentive for them to find the opportunity which is in crime. How do we create opportunities that are different? Well, it's really hard to start a business. It's really hard to get a contract. It's really hard to get employment if you have a record. How do we create the space that people could get access to capital who need it? Who could be recognized that you don't have to change your address to be, someone who's employable? This is really important. We have to unlock opportunities. And then we have to allow and appreciate rewards. You know, there's almost like a stigma if you've done too well. Imagine if you're talking about a stock market, Prime Minister of Jamaica talk about building wealth in the community for everybody, but if you do well in the stock exchange or you've started, that's not a good thing. You're now starting to get, towards that 1%, crew, and that's not a good thing. But somewhere we want to have a society, as a culture, that recognizes that, hard work brings a reward, and a reward is not a bad thing. So, what are some of the things that we might want to think about? There are all sorts of constraints. All sorts of constraints. We talk about, okay, you want to find capital and give it to small and medium enterprises? Yeah, but what about the corruption to get the contract? What about the arbitrary application of, and subjective application of certain rules at the, whatever, ministry for getting the piece of land and the who you know, and that's how we have, we got to invest. If we think that people are the way to unlock our economic potential, we have to invest and recognize we have to eliminate these types of constraints. We kind of talk about it because there's anti-corruption index, but I don't know if we appreciate the extent to which that is what is holding back average people in our countries. We talk about our public service. If we had the orientation that what we were trying to do was to serve people, and what we had in our public institutions was how do we serve people to give them the opportunities and a chance to actually be responsible and build wealth. We have a different orientation to how we look at it versus the rules-based. And it would be a lot more fulfilling job to be part of helping people fulfill on their dreams. And then, then the controversial one, right? I have this one up here, and I put it up. We are still relatively small communities. And somehow, many of us don't embrace the opportunity that migrant people provide to our economy. And we make it a problem. And we don't regularize them. So they're not in the tax system. They're not in the health system. So what are they to do? So then we say, well, okay, but they bring in crime to the. But if you actually regularize this, bring people into your workforce, they usually are the hardest working people that you could find, right? So we gotta commit ourselves to eliminating these constraints. And we gotta do it because we want people to be successful. And now, finally, to the capital markets, right? But you get my point that if you just try to enhance capital markets, but you're not really creating opportunities. You're not making it easier for any of these businesses or entrepreneurs who have an idea to actually access the capital market because they don't have the capability, because we haven't oriented our funds towards taking that type of risk. It don't make no kind of sense. Regionalization. I am so happy to see all of you from the regional stock exchanges here together this morning. This really fills my heart with hope. I love that you're going to ring a bell or something. So I'm trying to figure out what this bell is for. I feel it has something to do with the launch of the Caribbean Index. I feel so, but I'm guessing. But we are so far behind the dark ages, right? We're really small. We have 4 or 5 of you around the table, and we're all separate stock exchanges, all trying to get some volume. What if we all came together? Oh, but where would it be? Who would own it? Who's going to be the champion? Where the office going to sit? And all this stuff that gets in our way of real progress. So regional integration, you guys are ahead of the curve. Thank you so much. I can just imagine there's a lot of selflessness that is involved in your conversations, for you all to be here this morning, and for you all to be launching this region. So congratulations and thank you. You are demonstrating what's possible, and quite frankly, I'm inspired by it. Then, of course, we have this challenge with unbanked. So as big as the capital market is, we talk about, do you know how much money there is in mattresses? Again, from these migrant workers, but also people who are just unbanked. Again, okay, so we talk about it, and a few institutions have some initiatives for unbanked, and we're skipping along with it, and we're making a little progress. But if we really took on the mindset of we're here for our people, and that's the way we're going to unlock growth, we'd fix this fast. We'd make this urgent. And the last thing I want to address is what I think the Jamaican Prime Minister talked about and what I heard last night in the mentorship program we're planning for the SMEs through TTSE. But, through the work I do with the CPSO, we do see a number of great ideas, entrepreneurs who have something, but they don't have the wherewithal. They don't know how to write a business plan. They don't know how to make, financial projections. They've been in business, but they never kept accounts. And so there's some place where, as we think about putting capital markets on steroids, we need to solve this problem if we really want to get to this segment of the business community where I think there is true value to unlock. So that's pretty much all I had to say. I just really do believe that unleashing creative capital of our Caribbean people is really how we unlock the economic potential of the Caribbean. And if we focus on unleashing creative capital of our people, we'll actually find ourselves accelerating our economic development very quickly. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.